Put it on, girl. Let me see it. Put it on, girl. Let me see it.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Accidentally Informed, where
we can't guarantee that you'll learn something, but once again, I think I'm going to guarantee it anyway.
Yes, I am Claudia Jordan with my girl, Erica Cop Informers. We have an amazing show for you today. We're talking all things Diddy. And today we've got an insider who is at the trial, plus the latest with Wendy Williams and why she called me twice this week. And Megan Thee Stallion ain't here to play. We'll talk about how she is calling out Tory Lanez and his followers. Let's get into it before we get to our surprise guest I'm so excited to reconnect with. All right, the Diddy trial is all anyone is talking about. Even Suge Knight spoke about it in a recent jailhouse interview, saying Trump will pardon Diddy if he's found guilty because Diddy has some favors with the government. Now, we'll have to see about that. All right. Actually, I might be able to get us Suge Knight as well. Your girl been working. Your girl been working lately. Your girl been working. In the meantime, let's get the latest trial tea with someone who has been inside the courtroom since day one, who packed up, left Los Angeles, set up shop in New York. Please welcome journalist, author, TV host, and my fellow co-host from TGIF, Armon Wiggins. Welcome, Armon.
Ooh, that was a great introduction. I love that.
How are you? It's been a long time since
I know. That was good. Hey, guys. Hey, Erica. Hey, Claudia.
Hey, Armon. This is such a privilege for me. I can't even tell you how many people would pay to be in my position right now. Like, this is the family reunion that we so needed, and I am just so honored to be here.
Well, I'm excited. I thank you, and your voice is amazing. Like I wish I had a radio voice like that.
her voice is so silky smooth.
It's perfect.
We needed to balance out this gruff and scruff and rasp. So she saves the day with that soothing voice. So Armon, thank you. First of all, I know this is kind of cutting into your time because you go live at the same time. So I just want to reiterate.
But you know you're my girl though. So I'm like, we had to get work done together at some point.
Yes. And I appreciate that because you are really killing it out there. There's a couple of people that are really, really bringing the coverage to the people like from inside the courthouse, and you're doing it every day. So you sacrificed. You left LA, went to New York, and you set up shop out there, right?
Yeah. So I got an Airbnb, and so I'm here for the duration of the trial. We're just gonna see how it goes. It's been intense, long lines, early mornings, sleep schedule's been off, eating schedule, personal life. It's kind of been crazy, but I mean, it's worth it though, because this is a monumental case and it's a lot going on and so many like twists and turns. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know if this is as easy as people think it is for it to be an open shut case with Diddy. I honestly don't think it's just going to be over that easy.
So has your opinion changed from the beginning? Because I know in the beginning you were like, oh, this is kind of just like basically a bunch of freaks, right?
Well, yeah. Well, the thing is this. The evidence is the evidence. It's there.
Yeah.
But the team is so darn good. The defense, you're left like thinking, well, maybe, maybe you're right. Well, maybe maybe like, so in my opinion, if I'm just being honest with you, I don't know how this is going to go, but I would not be surprised if Diddy walks away. And I'm not even being funny.
Well, who took the stand today?
Okay. So today there was no real fireworks today because Kid Cudi was supposed to come today, but at the last minute, at 10:45, he sent the email, 10:45 last night, like, I'm not coming.
What? Like not coming, period, or not coming today?
Well, he's not coming today. So hopefully he shows tomorrow.
You can do that?
I get he didn't show. He was supposed to be the last witness for the day today, but he didn't come.
Wait a minute. You can't even send an email saying you're not coming to jury duty. How are you sending an email saying that you're not coming to take the stand?
I don't. Well, the same reason why that they subpoenaed Gina, which was one of Diddy's ex-girlfriends and ex-baby mamas until she had the alleged abortion, and she is nowhere to be found. She was supposed to be a witness.
Doesn't that play into some of his charges of intimidation, coercion? I mean,
they brought her up today too because they're like, well, let me tell you something. Today, the defense and the prosecution, they were arguing today, but I want to get into who was there. Okay. There was a guy from Homeland Security. So today was kind of like, Homeland Security and experts on the stand. No real celebrities today, no real major fireworks. But even in that though, his defense was able to like kind of switch the narrative. But we did get Gerard Gannon. He's a Homeland Security for Miami. And so his job was to pretty much, get the search warrant and then go into Diddy's house, raid the house, and take out, whatever evidence they can use against him in court. And so
this is what we saw, the public saw in the news.
Yes. So did you guys want me to go over some of the things, or did you already know what it was? Because it was a lot of stuff.
Well, can you give us like maybe the biggest bombshells that have happened today or this week?
Okay, so today for sure, what we saw, he had so what they uncovered in that house was, a pink, like a clear, like 9 pink pills. They were tested for MDMA, 5 yellow whole pills and three partial yellow pills. That was Xanax. 6 other white pills, that was Xanax. 10 other whole Xanax pills. White residue on white residue around the pill bottles and white residue around the straw that tested positive for cocaine and ketamine. Eye drops with liquid MDMA and ketamine. Clear plastic containers full of cocaine. Clear plastic Ziploc bags with cocaine and ketamine. Orange Tesla pills, 3 of those with MDMA. More Xanax, 5 more Xanax. Then they found another container of Xanax, 5 more Xanax, $100 bill wrapped up with residue of cocaine. Then they had a bright blue pill that tested positive for meth and MDMA. This is all in Diddy's medicine bag. Then they had a blue-green partial pill that was tested positive for MDMA. Then they had a blue-green tab that was tested for meth and MDMA. Then they had a yellow.
Like, just to reiterate, because I want to be sure that we have this right. This is in Diddy's personal bag. This isn't like.
No,
okay.
This is in his Gucci bag, in his room. This was all the stuff that they found in this was part of his freak off bag. Like, Diddy has a drug problem. And I don't know if this is how they're going to, pin the RICO and the enterprise and say like, everybody was in on the drugs. Cause I'm not sure how he's doing all of these drugs by himself. This is over 100 pills. Like, at this point, we're like, it's a lot of drugs in there.
Yeah,
and then the countless bottles of baby oil.
I grew up in the club ages in the early 2000s was my coming of age. And I can see that being some people's personal use. It certainly doesn't give distribution. But yeah, I can see that being some people, especially where he found himself to be at this point.
That seems like right amount. I feel like giving it to your people to like coerce them, to make them do things. Like, that's like maybe not to distribute, but enough for your like inner circle, like, hey, take this pill. I remember being in Vegas and people will just try to shove a pill in your mouth. Jerome Trammell from Fox Soul, the Fox Soul family, is in the chat, and he said liquid meth was crazy. Was it liquid meth?
It was liquid. It was liquid. It was in the eye drop. Lumify bottle.
Damn.
Yeah. So he was, and then countless. So you remember that thing where they were saying there was 1,000 bottles of baby oil and everybody was laughing? I believe that that's true because everywhere Diddy goes, there's at least 50 bottles of baby oil.
What's with the baby oil though? Was it drugs in the baby oil?
We haven't got that far yet, but he has like this kink with having men and the women be very oiled up. They have to be extremely oiled up. And at the slightest moment where they're seeming like they're not glowing, it's more oil. And he would direct them to put on more oil. And so that was part of the vibe because it was like can we say no, we probably can't. It's like corn, like the people replace it with pea, corn. So he likes to watch like live corn. You know what I'm saying? And so you put on this oil and it's like a sex scene. And it's like he watches it and he directs it. And then, some of the craziest things, though, that kind of came out, which was yesterday when the Punisher, which was the male escort, he came and spoke. And he said that Diddy would want him to finish on Cassie. But in the finishing, he would have to ejaculate on Cassie's vagina. Like, there's a particular place where he has to do it on top of the vagina. And then Cassie would get up and then walk in the room with Diddy. And if you guys know the story, then Diddy would play with the semen and then they would play in the room. You know what I'm saying? It gets really graphic. Yeah. It gets like that.
Here's the thing. If he gets off on the charges of RICO and all that, he's still like scarlet letter for the rest of his life. We're all like, ugh, right? Like, it's like,
is he though? Like, we haven't read any of the comment sections on the very split opinions for people. I mean,
letting a girl put the jizz of another man on your nipples is just like,
well, that's the requirement. So because if they don't ejaculate, they don't get as much money. So their payment gets reduced. So if you don't come, you don't get a full payment.
So he loved the come.
Yes, that was a requirement. Actually, one of the escorts that testified week 1, he couldn't ejaculate, and so he got paid less. And he lied to Diddy and said, "Hey, I'm gonna come," and he faked like he did. And then they came out, they said, "Did you come?" And he was like, "No, I didn't." And then he got less money.
Did you see the photos that got out of the alleged sex workers, the men?
Yes.
Why was one of the guys on the list with my old agency, one of my talent agencies in LA?
The black guy.
They call him Johnny, but we knew him as Edmund. He was from the Caribbean. He's do backflips all the time at Venice Beach. And then there's one at the bottom. I think I hung out with him before. It looks exactly like this guy. I don't want to say his name in case it's not him. But the bottom row, there's a brother that has the really tight eyes. We filmed something in LA before, and he was kind of evasive, like kind of like hard to pin down, like where he was, what he really was doing. But he was like a model, like us, maybe. And I'm like, oh my God, like LA is small.
But here's the thing: are these guys gay though? I don't think they're gay, because here's the rule though, and there's a rule that goes into this. You're not to look at Diddy. You're not to engage with him. You're not even to acknowledge that he's there. So Diddy never interacts with the guys. He'll just direct Cassie to tell him what to and tell her what to do. Like, angle over, move to the left, turn the lighting this way, angle your body that way. Diddy usually sits in the back, wears a mask. Well, it's kind of like those, like the Muslim ladies wear, like he'll wear that, he'll wear a hat, like he'll sit in the back and he'll like be masturbating, but he wants to see the men sleep with Cassie, but they're not allowed to make eye contact with him. Actually, one of the men actually made eye contact with him and he cursed them out.
Of the two guys that I know, one I thought was gay and one I didn't think was, because one was trying to kind of hollering at me a little bit, right?
Okay.
The first one, Johnny, I would see him in passing in the business for like many, many years ago. And he kind of just disappeared. But so his kink is looking at the men masturbate. He has an obsession with.
Well, it seems like he is a puck.
What's that?
Well, like when a man enjoys watching another man. Okay. All right, you have said a lot. And I do appreciate this firsthand account from being in the courtroom. But to Claudia's point, I believe 2 other men have been identified as former cast members on the reality TV show Gigolo.
Ash is one of them.
Yeah, so I don't think the pipeline from entertainment to whatever we're gonna call this is. I don't think it's a big jump there. And the entertainment industry is very hard. So, get it how you get it. But I would definitely say, at this point, there just aren't any more lines. Like, there's just,
I wonder if, did they, I know it's been on the internet and there's a lot of like misinformation out there, but didn't someone come out recently saying that Diddy's alleged genitalia was very petite, like it was like the size of a Tootsie Roll?
Now, I didn't hear that one, Claudia.
That
didn't come out in court.
Okay, well, it's been on the internet. And I wonder if like, because of his like alleged shortcomings, that, he just enjoys someone else pleasuring the woman the way he can't do it. I don't know.
That part, I don't know. But I think what's more important is, how is he going to get off with beating Cassie? And I really feel like they're doing a decent job with just making this seem like there were two drug addicts that were dangerously in love and, you know, doing domestic violence to each other versus coercion and sex trafficking. They're making this more of a drug-fueled domestic violence relationship, which he's not on trial for, versus coercion and sex trafficking.
Well, even though with the mom's testimony yesterday saying how she was blackmailed for $20,000, like that does seem like that was pretty damn,
I think the mom's testimony really did help. But then we had today a lady by the name Dr. Dawn Hughes. She's like a forensic psychologist and a clinical psychologist. So her whole thing is she works with, you know, domestic violence victims, trauma victims, but she's heavily leaning. She's a heavy feminist for sure, right? And so I don't know if this is going to work out because majority of the jury are men. And the thing about this woman is, though, she kind of lied on the stand today and made it seem like she didn't know anything about the case, right? But yet they found out that, you know, she was kind of helping the prosecution, you know, with the debriefing and building the case and kind of the points that she should go over. And so Diddy's team came out and was like, you know, and then it came out that this woman, you know, while she's supposed to be a clinical psychologist and all of these things, well, she's been doing trainings on how to be a professional witness in criminal court cases. So while she was trying to break down all the different traumas, which she had me going because, you know, there's sexual abuse, you get trauma from that. There's physical abuse, there's financial abuse, which everyone that's attached to Diddy in some form has been abused, whether it's been financially, you know, whether it's been sexually, physically, mentally, emotionally, like from the security guards to the sex workers to Don Richard to Cassie. So you could kind of find everyone's story in there and, you know, the different things that that trigger their abuse and trigger their memory loss and trigger their anxieties and things like that. But then at the same time, the defense did such a great job and made this woman look like a fraud because it was like, well, girl, your whole career and your whole job at this point, first of all, you're getting paid $600 an hour. You're getting paid $6,000 to sit up here and testify. And you haven't wrote any books. You haven't wrote any articles on teaching about, you know, forensic psychology or, you know, clinical psychology. But the last thing that you taught was a class on how to be a professional witness on the stand. So they're like, girl, this is actually your job and you've been working with the feds. And so you have a bias. And the thing is, how can you assess someone's trauma if you haven't interviewed or talked to anyone? Because they did this whole spiel about how she's supposed to sit and talk to people and get information to see if they're not lying and see where their trauma exists. But how can you just give all this general information and expect the jury to think, oh, all these people are traumatized when you allegedly know nothing about this case? So they flipped it on her like, girl, you don't know anything. So all you're talking is a bunch of gibberish. Like they've been really doing their big one, flipping everything on the prosecution.
I have a friend who was with someone that was with the FBI and formerly, and he travels and he gets paid for his testimony as an expert. So I understand that. Eric, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I did want to ask really quick. I've heard reports about one juror that is a woman that seems that she's like kind of rolling her eyes, kind of like she said, one of the witnesses, she said she's lying. Were you there for that?
I didn't see that, but there is kind of a black juror that she be kind of in and out and she kind of be like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if they're going for, I don't know. Because here's the thing with Cassie, and I'm gonna just be honest with you. I feel like if Diddy jumped up in that courtroom at that moment and was like, you know what, Cassie, I'll take care of you and your kids and let's just make this all go away and let's get up and move to Dubai together, she would jump off that witness stand and be with him with her baby in her stomach. And leave that man. I feel like that. Yes.
No.
Yes.
Anytime I hear, and like, I'm just saying, I don't want to feel that. Anytime I hear something like that, I go back to the night before it was announced that Diddy and Cassie were together.
You guys hung out.
And yes, I was with Cassie. And I just remember the craziest thing about it is like how young, like I was young, but she was a baby. So I do play this out in terms of like how susceptible, and me being someone who was very sheltered in a lot of ways and very naive about a lot of things. How easy is it for someone to come in, infiltrate your mind, body, and spirit, and turn you into someone completely different, especially at that age? So, I mean, that to me speaks more to the Dr. Dawn testimony about the psychology behind being groomed and isolated for so long, and how that can actually change the trajectory and path of your entire life.
And I think you're 100% right on that. I think everything that you said is 100% right. But the problem is this. We know that, right? The evidence is out there. It's clear, in my mind, it's clear that Diddy is guilty. No, hands down. However, the lawyers are so good. It's just going to boil down to who's the better legal team. And honestly, Diddy's team is stronger than the prosecution, to me. They don't back down.
Insane. You would think like federal case. Are they likable? Who's more likable?
Honestly, they're just like, honestly, that six pack, they're just white women. They're white women. They're white women. Diddy's team, they don't play. They don't play. They do not play. They fight, they argue, they get to it, and they don't back down. No one really backs down, but that team over there on that cross-examination, they're going to rip you apart. Anybody that gets on that stand.
So who would you say has been the most compelling witness for the prosecution versus the most compelling witness for the defense, regardless of who called them?
I think Cassie, was the best for the prosecution because, she set the groundwork. You know what I mean? It was, you felt it. The worst for the prosecution, I feel, was Dawn Rashard. Completely. They destroyed her on the stand. Oh God. They destroyed her on the stand. It was nasty. I felt so bad for her. They destroyed her on the stand.
What do you think about people and I know we got to go, so I'm going to let you go in a second. People like day 2, they're like, oh, this is over. There's no RICO, but this is an 8-week trial, isn't it?
Yeah, it's supposed to be. They're trying to wrap this up by July 4th. So Kid Cudi will be there tomorrow. So maybe you'll add fuel to it. Here's the thing. I leave every day not knowing because I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm not on no side. I'm on the side of right. Here's the thing. With the Diddy situation, I feel like he needs to pay because I can't get past the abuse. Beating this girl, dragging her, hitting her head on the brick. Like, to me, I just feel like you got to pay for that. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's not about how I feel. It's who can make the better case. And I think it boils down to the lawyers. And he spent a lot of money and he's got a hell of a team.
Well, thank you, Armon. We'd love to have you back at some point during the trial. If you have time, can you please squeeze us in?
Yes, please. Invite me.
This was great. And I feel like I was there because you were there. And thank you. We really appreciate this. This was great for us. So we appreciate you, Armon.
Thank you, Erica. Bye, Claudia.
First of all, we got to give you a prop. We need people to follow Armon. His channel is super entertaining and he's really, really good at what he does. Armon is by far one of the best storytellers on all of YouTube. No, you really are. Like, thank you. You really, really are. Before I even met you, like I was watching, feeling like, but you really are good. You're fantastic at what you do. So I cannot wait to see watch your report. So thank you so much.
All right, guys. See you soon. Bye.
Sure. Yes. Please subscribe to Armon's YouTube channel for the latest on the trial. He's live every single day at 6 p.m. Eastern. So he definitely took time out of his own channel to help us out here. So thank you so much. Wow, Erica, what do you think?
Well, first of all, I just reiterate what I said at the top of the show. I know so many people who would have paid a lot of money to be the third over here. So I was so excited to be a part of the conversation, y'all's family reunion. I think because he's very clear he doesn't have a dog in the fight. And I am like very much team Cassie. And I feel like what's right is right. That being said, it all comes down to how these cases are being presented. And ultimately, our legal system, our judicial system is supposed to be the final word and say. And if it's done like the way that it's intended to be, I really hope that justice is served. And I hope that the people who are survivors, that they don't feel like their testimony and their experience has all been in vain. And that's what I'm I'm very, very afraid of.
Right. I've been hearing stuff about the prosecution not being as good, but I'm also reading some of the comments. People saying, if you're on the Christine R says, if you're on the right side, the side of right, you have to be on Cassie's side. Patrice Bean also says you do break it down, Armon. Let's see what else. Tassi Lee says, I disagree with Armon too. People are not there to be entertained. They are there to be educated. And Jerome Trammell says Kid Cudi needs to take the stand. And Chris R says everybody is seeing it differently.
You know, I think what people really need to understand just in terms of how we internalize and process things is that we're all coming to the table based on our individual experiences.
Yeah.
And for most situations, that's okay to have a diversity of experiences. But when we're talking about abuse and sexual violence and, you know, potential trafficking, all of these things, then it makes nuance very difficult. And so I think that's the reason why people are just very much up in arms and like staunchly on one side or the other, because this person might represent someone in their life versus this person might represent something in their experience.
Mhm.
And I don't know if there's as much room for nuance in those discussions.
You know, also with this case, I do think Kid Cudi coming to testify, two things I think is going to really help Cassie's, the prosecution. Kid Cudi, that having a legitimate threat on his life and his car actually being blown up after Diddy said it, allegedly, is a huge factor in setting up the kind of crime circle that Diddy had, because I believe there's some text message where he said something about, I'm going to do it and I won't be around when it happens. So that means there's other people that were conspiring with him to get this done. So I think that's going to be a major piece that's going to help the prosecution. Also, as far as like the RICO charges, the racketeering, all that, and the blackmailing, I feel like Kathy's mother testifying to being blackmailed for $20,000 so Diddy will not release sex tapes of Cassie. I mean, if that's not coercion, I don't know what is coercion and blackmail. And you know what I mean? Like, I think those two are, I mean, I wasn't there, but those two, from what I've been hearing, in the beginning, we heard all the gross, disgusting details. I think that was setting up Diddy's character and trying to get you into the mindset of what one would feel or how fearful they might be in the kinds of abuse they were subjected to. So perhaps, you know, they're not in their right frame of mind. So I don't know. I mean, again, this is not a marathon. This is not a sprint. It's a marathon.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with Nicole T. She says, I don't think we've seen anything yet. 6 more weeks to go. And I 1,000,000% agree with that.
I mean, the feds don't have what a 90-something% success rate for nothing. Gentle Lady says, I'll have to disagree with Armon. I've worked with DV victims and predators. The defense is theatrical. Okay. I will say this. Here at Accidentally Informed with Claudia and Erica, you've gotten to be blessed with 2 of the best in-court commentary providers, Tisa Tells and Armon Wiggins. So I'm very happy about that. So we will continue to bring you direct reporting from inside the courthouse. So we'd love to have them both back. So thank you once again. All right, let's move on. You're listening to Accidentally Informed. I'm Claudia Jordan with my co-host Erica Cobb. Let's get into our next story. All right, y'all. Wendy Williams is making headlines once again, this time over claims in a new documentary that she was moved to the memory care unit of her assisted living facility after sneaking up to a rooftop bar and getting drunk on her birthday last summer. Reports say Wendy is now confined to that floor 24/7, only allowed to leave with her guardian's permission. Erica, is one wild night enough of a reason to be locked up like this? And if so, shouldn't we all have been locked up after we all spent time in Vegas?
Yes, several times over. Several times over. I can't get over the fact, like, it's like we're being gaslit in real time. Am I saying that Wendy Williams is 100% healthy and 100% at the mental aptitude that she needs to be? I do not know that, but most people don't know that. But you're going to have to give me more than I got drunk on my birthday, and that's the reason why I'm locked up 24/7. There has to be more. And it really does make it seem like there is a nefarious, sinister plan that has been, leveled against Wendy at this point. There is no way that we live in a world where Kanye West runs free and rampant and Wendy Williams has to be locked up 24/7. Make it make sense.
So last week I was in Atlanta, I was working, and I'm on set of this little thing, this interview I was doing. My phone rings, unknown number. The voice on the other side of the phone is a voice I've heard many, many times. It was Wendy Williams calling me. We have a mutual.
Wait, Wendy Williams called your personal cell phone?
Wendy Williams called my personal cell phone twice last week, and I spoke to her once for about 45 minutes. When I tell you, and I told her I was going to say this, Wendy sounds just as good as she did on her talk show. I was flabbergasted, okay? She was cohesive. She was funny. She was talking to me about things. She was aware of things. She says she is bored out of her mind, and she does not have access to her cell phone. She doesn't have anyone's phone number. So if she gets someone's phone number from someone that visits her, she has to write it down and then call from a landline. So that's why it showed up as unknown on my phone. She called me twice. I can't talk about everything that we talked about on this show right now. Erica, I'll call you later. But this woman needs to be out. She sounds like, you make a great point about mentioning Kanye West. Kanye West, she sounds much sharper than Kanye West, Donald Trump, Joe Biden. She sounds way more cohesive than all of them. She wants to be outside, and she should be outside.
Claudia Jordan, I do appreciate you giving me a call after this live. However, I have several follow-up questions, as I am just learning that Wendy Williams called your personal cell phone last week. Okay, starting with, what day was this?
It was on, let me look, I'm going to look through my phone right now. It was the day I was doing that sit-down interview with Julian Horton from Behind the Gate, from Beauty and Black. Hold on, let me look at the date, because I just got a tour and all the dates are running together. So it was, I'm going to tell you the date exactly. Oh, did I not put a picture up that day?
Did I not put a picture up?
I mean, I put a picture up every day. Oh, I was in Atlanta Tuesday.
Okay. So Tuesday afternoon, you're wrapping up an interview, your phone rings, it's unknown, and it's just like, do you know who this is? And it's Wendy.
And I recognized her voice, and I was like, oh my God, Wendy. And she's like, yeah.
What was your reaction?
And then she called me again on Sunday.
Like, was your heart beating fast? Like,
yes, because I'm like, well, our mutual friend told me that she may call me.
Okay.
Because she does watch television, and she does have access to YouTube on her TV where she can watch some things. And so she does catch wind of certain things, like maybe like some YouTube commentary. And so she had heard I said something nice about her. And I talked to our mutual friend about how when I did her show, she had given me a heads up about something. And I was forever grateful about that. Actually, I'll just tell you what happened. So when I was on her show, when I got fired from Celebrity Apprentice, right? There was all this drama on the show because LaToya Jackson the week prior was on Wendy's show and believed that Omarosa had something to do with Michael Clark Duncan's untimely death. So she had said on the show, I think she had something to do with it. So Omarosa was throwing all these lawsuits, threats around that she was going to sue everybody, right? Mm-hmm. So when around that time is when I did Wendy's show. So Wendy's like, just go to your car, just go directly to your car, like do not pass go, just go straight to your car, you might get served, right? And that was a long time ago, and I always was very appreciative of that. And I just thought that was dope. So I never got to tell her, thank you for that, like good looking out. And I never was served with anything because whatever, right?
Yeah.
But yeah. So anyways, we talked about some stuff, and listen, Wendy sounds good. I expected to talk to someone that was incapacitated. I've been around people that have dementia before. Is she like 100% of what she was before? No, but neither am I. I've had several concussions. I'll give her a good 90%. I'll give her 90%. Mm-hmm. From the peak of her being on television. She was that sharp on the phone call. And when I talked, I kept saying to her, oh my God, I cannot believe you are under a guardianship with the way you sound on the phone with me right now. And then when she called me again on Sunday and we talked longer, I was like, it's confirmed. It wasn't like maybe one day you have a good day where you're clear.
Right.
She sounded great, Erica, and she needs to be out. And I'm like, why is this happening? Why? I have so many questions. Like, why is the person that's in charge of you, your guardianship, whatever, conservatorship, why is she some white lady that you don't really know like that? Why is it not like
her response to that?
I mean, I don't know how much I could say. I ain't trying to get her in trouble.
Yeah.
But she needs to be out.
I think that, first of all, this whole thing is so incredibly just tragic. But I think it's kind of also meta because it's like when you are suffering from dementia or, some kind of cognitive ailment, then you're essentially trapped in your body. Like, this is something that's almost being like lorded over her in terms of cognitive, like she's being told that this is her ailment or this is what's happening to her, but it's clear to her that it's not. So she's physically trapped. Like it's so cruel and unusual. And it also lends itself to understanding how a Britney Spears could be presenting the way that she's presenting now. I think that there was a time when she could have gotten out of all of this and led a fairly normal life. But after being basically incarcerated for what I still don't understand what the violation was, and being, subjected to all of this, it would make a person, actually have create some cognitive issues.
I mean, you're isolated from your people. You don't have your cell phone. You're a successful woman. You don't have access to your own money. The person I talked to on the phone sounds like she's perfectly capable of being online, having lunch with her friends, going to talk to her people, going to visit folks. I could listen to this Wendy Williams doing a podcast. That's how cohesive. She knows what's going on. I think she's going to get out.
You think so?
This year. I'm saying my opinion is this year. I would like that to happen. And I'm sure she would like that to happen. But I was like, well, is it Wells Fargo that's, that has, they have control of your money? Is it them? Like, how do these people put this on you? It wasn't your family that put you in there. Like, how is this happening to you? And I think it's a big old conspiracy.
I think it's more than a conspiracy. I think it's a setup that probably some people knew was coming, and now we're all finding out about it. If anyone at any point ever yelled "Free Britney" from the rooftops, they need to be over amplifying free Wendy.
And didn't they let Britney out of her conservatorship?
Yes, it makes no
Wendy sounds
sense.
way better. Wendy is way. I'm where's the Bible for me to put my hand on? Wendy sound way more cohesive and together than what Britney Spears was sounding and looking like. And they let her out. This woman is being held and she should not be being held. And I even said that to her. I go, the fact that you're in there and Kanye's out is insane to me. And she was like, yeah, how about that?
I think the conspiracy goes so deep because Wendy was a pinnacle and still is of pop culture. She's able to shift narratives. She's able to get stories out that other people like either mainstream media would not touch. Like when you think of, for everything that people have said about Wendy Williams was a pop culture maker. That is a lot of power and a lot of influence. And if you are upsetting the wrong people, I absolutely believe that there are powers that be that can have you locked up in a personal solitary confinement, telling people that basically you have dementia, aphasia, aplasia, and all the other things. Like,
and look how this all comes around full circle. Who was the number one person, the biggest, most powerful person that Wendy was known to expose and to fearlessly report on that made her lose one of her radio jobs, almost caused her to be blacklisted, caused a lot of celebrities to not deal with her for a very long time before she got her TV deal? Diddy. You don't think he had connections at Wells Fargo? The government, people say he was working with the feds before, allegedly. There's talks about that. You don't think Diddy could have been like, yo, cancel this bitch? You know, you don't think this could happen? Now that we're seeing how deep conspiracies go, allegedly, and this woman, right now, Wendy Williams should be on her couch talking about this with all the stuff that she knows. And she knows a lot. And she knows a lot. I'm just saying, y'all, the number one person that Wendy paid a big price for was the talk about Diddy. And I think she knew a lot more than what she said back in the day.
I believe that too. That she knows a lot more. And honestly, you have to look at, it's always, where is the money? Where is the money coming from? Like the amount that it would take to overpower, like Wendy Williams is a wealthy woman, like to our knowledge, unless like her money has just been misappropriated over the years.
So now you got this white lady that you don't really know like that is control of your every move, can decide if you deserve to have an iPad or not, your phone. You can't have your phone. You can't have your phone, but we have presidents, okay, that are constantly getting stuff wrong, messing up, and have their fingers, who have the nuclear codes. But Wendy Williams, who reported on pop culture and gossip, can't have her cell phone. Why? Who would benefit from Wendy Williams being isolated and not being able to have her platform to spread what she knows about things? Who would benefit from that? That's what you got to think about. Exactly. Mind blowing, isn't it?
I mean, and she rests her case.
Free Wendy.
You made that case, girl.
It's free Wendy.
No, yeah.
Listen, I've had some concussions and I forget stuff all the time. My memory is mad sus, and sometimes I stutter and I stammer because of that. What if someone was like, Claudia, you run your mouth too much, and they just was like, put her in a conservatorship because, you know, she's off. She's missed a step from what she used to be. We can all have those days. From what I've seen, and the pictures, I'm side-eyeing the media now too, right? The pictures that they released of her where she'd be like out in public, her eyes were all bugged out and she looked kind of like out of it. That's not who I was talking to. That is not who I was talking to. It's not who I was talking to.
You know, here's just a warning, or just my two thoughts about this in general. Because as powerful as Wendy Williams was and still is, I mean, we are talking about her because we're that invested. She was so vulnerable, because if something happened to me and someone wanted to lock me up or diagnose me, they would have to get through so many people, and not like hundreds, just like very important people in my life who would just be like, not let any of this ride. And I think she was vulnerable because she clearly had a marriage with a man who did not care and, you know, obviously abandoned her.
Yeah.
She had people who were, you know, maybe had a lot of love and care for her, but had no power in her life. And then she had the people who were just sycophants, like just wanting to be around because she was Wendy Williams. So when you don't have like true, like protective guardians in your life, it makes you a very vulnerable person. And that's how I feel about the situation, knowing very little, just observing from the outside.
Tamara B.A. says, Wendy had her mom pass and her husband drama all at the same time, and this is how she's treated. Listen, we're all allowed to maybe have a temporary moment. I won't even say of insanity, but of a mental breakdown where we are depressed. We've all been through times of, you know, maybe a short-term depression. You can't get out of bed. You have major heartbreak, losing a parent, and all of that happening. And then you're isolated. You don't have your husband, who was also your manager and also running a lot of helping her with the business. And then he's off starting a family with another woman. Then they're trying to get your money. She's no doubt she's vulnerable. She probably hit the bottle. You know what I'm saying? Oh, she did say she's totally clean. Does not want anything to do with alcohol. She did tell me that. And I was like, damn, good for you. And I was like, man, when you get out one day, we're going to go for drinks. She said, She checked me right away. She said, no. lifestyle change. She's like, I don't do any of that anymore. It's water for me. I said, all right, cool. I love it. I just feel like you said, they, at a time when she was vulnerable, they swooped on in, got rid of her show. They silenced her voice. They took all of her power away. So all the secrets that Wendy knows and has information on now will be looked at as she's just that crazy lady, you know? And you got to look at who, again, ask yourself, who benefits from Wendy being snatched off the air, put up in a tower where she can just wave through the glass, which she does see people when she does that, and put away to never be heard from again. Who benefits from that? That's where the answer is.
And I agree. I completely agree. I do want to just take the moment because one of our informers said, don't forget Wendy is an addict. And I just want to be very clear that I don't think that being an addict is necessarily something that is if it's used in the way that you're, deprecating to someone. I don't agree with that at all. Addiction is an illness. And I think that we really have to get better about talking about it. I do understand that people who are addicted to substances a lot of times will create destruction and harm in other people's lives. And I do not agree with that. I don't support that. But I do support someone who needs help getting help. And it makes it very difficult for people to have their comeback after a major setback like that. So I want to be very, very careful, because when you really think about the genesis of addiction and the way that we talk about addicts, junkies, all of that within our culture and our neighborhoods, it goes back to the crack epidemic, which was something that was infiltrated into our communities. And therefore, from the very beginning, we're talking about victims and survivors. So when we use addict as something to discredit someone, which I understand the reasons behind it, but we have to be really careful about how we say things like that.
Yeah, and just because she was an addict at one point in her life, or okay, she was an addict, right? Does not mean that she doesn't have a sound mind now. Matter of fact, if you want evidence, look no further than the United States government. Donald Trump sought to put a heroin addict and Robert Kennedy Jr., RFK Jr., as the head of HHS, your health department. So health security. So miss me with she's an addict and her job is to report on pop culture. That's way less of a burden than enforcing policy that affects all of our health. So miss me, not you, Erica, but the critics. Like, this is minor, and she's getting major punishment for this. Again, yes, Tamara, she built a whole empire.
And let me just tell you, in this industry too, surprise, surprise, if addiction was something that was, let me just say, she has a lot of company. So,
Robert Downey Jr. got out of rehab and got all kinds of awards. Like, just go through Hollywood, just go down. There's a whole bunch of them. Okay. There's people that are doing all kinds of stuff, passing out HIV knowingly. Hello, Charlie Sheen, drug addiction, stealing, all kind of stuff. And I feel like when it's a woman and a Black woman, so much easier to just throw her away and lock away the key. With men, again, I have to keep going back to Kanye and Robert Downey. They love a comeback from them, but for the women, they're hysterical. Lock them up. All right, we have some more to talk about before the show's over. That I'm glad we got to really get into that.
Yes.
I'll make sure that see if my people can get the clip to Wendy. I really want her to see what we gave her flowers. Okay. Speaking of, you know what? Which one should we do? Okay. Megan Thee Stallion ain't folding. Last week, we told you that Tory Lanez is now blaming Megan's friend Kelsey Harris for pulling the trigger. Celebs like Chris Brown and Drake even shared a petition to have Tory pardoned and released from prison. On Monday, Megan released a statement calling Tory a demon, saying facts are facts. He did it. It was proven in court. Fuck the hate campaign on the internet. Tory, you shot me. Eric, it's been years since he was found guilty. Will the harassment ever stop? And what do you think about this?
Against Megan? Oh, the harassment for Meg Thee Stallion, it won't stop. It'll never quit, because it's just indicative of the disdain for Black women, period. And any Black woman who is doing that hallelujah choir in front of your daughters and nieces, they are listening and they are taking heed, and this will be something that will be a core memory for them. So I think it's very reflective of the way that Black women in this country are viewed. And so, unfortunately, no, I do not think that this harassment's going to stop. And so when we talk about survivors of violence or, assault or whatever it is, that's another reason why people won't come forward, because it's one, to be actually violated, but to have that repeated over and over with your character being diminished and you being harassed. I mean, I don't even know. Megan Thee Stallion couldn't have lost or couldn't have won for losing, because had she not come forward and said, this is what happened, or, or because she did, it's like just her being is enough to get people riled up and angry.
Need I remind people that Megan Thee Stallion did not press charges against Tory Lanez? She was actually not cooperating at first and was trying to give him a pass, like just shut up, just leave me alone. And he took it upon himself, getting cocky, did a song with the baby, and got very arrogant and was taunting her, made a music video with chopped up horse legs and was taunting this woman. It was not Megan Thee Stallion. Matter of fact, Tory Lanez is not in prison. He did not get a sentence for shooting Megan Thee Stallion. He's in there for a gun charge for being on probation and being around guns. So people will always blame Megan Thee Stallion for what Tory chose to do himself. Now, if by some strange miracle, it really wasn't you that actually pulled the trigger in Meg's direction at Meg, whatever. Oh, and before it was Meg was never even shot. She stepped in glass. But now that it's like, oh, Kelsey did it. Now you want to say, yeah, Kelsey actually shot Megan in the foot. So which one was it, motherfuckers? Was she shot or was she not shot? Was she only shot when you want to say it was Kelsey that did it, but when it was on Tory, it wasn't her? Now, Tory, I don't want to see any Black man innocent in jail. Absolutely not. And I do think you are over sentenced. I will say that. I think 10 years is a very long time. But if you were so innocent, the time to say it wasn't me was on Twitter, when instead you decided to say Kelsey didn't shoot her. I seen the tweets. You said that. And you continue to say she didn't do it. She didn't do it. Well, that leaves, by process of elimination, you. And if you didn't, all this, well, I had an argument with someone online about this. Well, he didn't want to be a snitch. Oh, so you'd rather do 10 years away from your son, your family, than be a snitch. And who's going to call you a snitch when you're just saying, no, that's not being a snitch. A snitch is if you do a crime with someone, y'all both agree to be down with the fuckery, and then you tell on the other person and y'all just as guilty. If someone is putting a false charge on you and they actually did the crime, it is not snitching to say, oh, whoa. But you didn't just say it wasn't you. You said it wasn't Kelsey. So I think this is a Hail Mary attempt by lawyers, which they're doing what they're supposed to do. So yes, you lost your credibility. And what were you apologizing for on that call?
I don't know. I just have a feeling I might be a little bit too close to AARP to be a part of this not foolery. Cause I mean, I can't make it make sense. I really cannot. Like when you said that you were, going back and forth with someone about this. So when this case first started, I was, doing daytime talk, but we also had a live stream on YouTube. So people were very much commenting in real time. Mm-hmm. And it's like, there's things that like, I'm in therapy and I've been very much told, like, just stay consistently on your level, because when you try to get in on the nonsense, they will beat you down with stupidity every time. Mm-hmm. Every time. And I know this is a very serious topic and it's a very serious allegation, all of these things. Like, I don't love the idea of this man being nearly killed in prison. Like, I don't believe in that type of justice. But at the same time, it's like, I mean, talk about a lack of emotional immaturity that gets your ass hemmed up, like in the absolute most consequential way. And that's what we're looking at. That's exactly what we're looking at.
I had someone say, well, she lied about having sex with Tory on Gayle King. Yeah, but she admitted at the trial where it counted. I'm sorry. I may go on a talk show. You asked me about this one, that one. If I don't feel like talking about it, I'm not going to do it, because the way women get judged and the way men get judged is two different things. That does not make I don't see how the one person that was injured that night is the villain here, which is crazy to me. I just feel like Black women
Well, also,
are villainized for being successful
oh
sometimes.
yeah, for
She's
sure.
big
And
and
not
she's
to put
chocolate and there's all these things working against her that these men don't like.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's the audacity for everybody. It's the audacity
How
for
dare
her
you?
to be living in her dreams and her truth and her promise. Like, who does she think she is? That is her most egregious offense. But not to put too much on Gail, because I know Gail has been through a lot. But I don't know if I'm
With that
asking
fake space shuttle trip. She did not go to space.
Stop. You trying
No
to
helmet, no oxygen, hair laid. Get out of here, Gail.
I'm just saying the question does beg a lot of questions. The question of if she actually had sexual intercourse with Tory Lanez, that was a questionable question. And I don't know if that question constituted a straight answer, to be
I
quite
would
honest.
not admit to having sex with a little troll with a bad hairline either. Okay. Anyways, moving on. A heartbreaking story out of Georgia where a brain dead pregnant woman is being kept alive. Adriana Smith was declared brain dead in February. But doctors won't take her off life support until her baby can be delivered because of Georgia's abortion law. Erica, she was only 9 weeks pregnant and she's been on life support for more than 3 months. What? With another 3 months to go. What are your thoughts on this?
Not only is this woman, has she been brain dead for months and on life support, but that life support and all of that care is going to fall on her family.
They have to pay for it when it's against their consent, which is unbelievable. Real quick, Jerome Trammell said about Tory, was he stabbed? Let's see pictures. Maybe he fell on glass.
What's good for the goose is good for the gander on that one. Yes. In terms of this story, I think that like Adriana Smith's family is just, I mean, it's the worst nightmare. Like you lose someone, they're pregnant, all of these things, and then your best care and best discretion isn't something that is going to be allowed because of the laws. I think that everyone should be paying attention to this story. It is indicative of everything in the pathway that's happened since Roe v. Wade was overturned. And these are examples of if you think it can't happen to you, and it absolutely can. And I think when people are having these conversations, and I'm not going to get into a pro-choice, pro-life debate, but no one is really thinking about the daily, what these doctors and medical professionals are seeing on a daily basis. The results of all of these things and the variables are endless. So there's no way to just cast a wide net over, we must protect, we must be pro-life. It's like, it's always interesting to me as someone who's worked in child welfare, how much people are screaming about pro-life. But when these children get here, do you know that there are at least, I think 30 or 45% or 30 or 40% of children who are in the foster care system, which I'm not going to mess up the numbers because the numbers change daily, but there's hundreds of thousands of kids in the child care or foster care system. And only about 60% of them have CASAs. Most of them are, it's like the amount of children out there who need people, who need homes, who need loving parents. No one is turning their attention to the children who are here. It's such a hypocritical response for me. I just do not understand it.
And they sure do pick and choose when they want to protect the baby that's inside the womb of a Black woman, because just last week, I saw a police officer hold a Black pregnant woman down, tase her so many times in her stomach. She was 3 or 4 months pregnant, that her baby died. But this woman, car accident, brain dead, you want to force this woman to be an incubator at the family's expense. And then the raising of the child is the family's expense. They sure do pick and choose. It was disgusting what they did. We see this time and time. There was another pregnant woman that was in Texas a couple years ago that police had guns on her. And she's like, I'm pregnant. They still shot her and killed her. Like, it happens all the time. But for some reason, I think this is a test to see how far they can get away with and how much they can get away with, and look for more of these things to happen where women are kept on life support as incubators, because the white race is worried because all the stats said that by 2050, 2060, that they be in the minority. And for all the talk they do about there's no racism, being a minority is not bad in America. There's no need for affirmative action because it's so fair here. You sure are fucking nervous and scared to be the minority of the thing you say we should not be worried about being because it's so great and rainbows and butterflies. But you sure are going through a lot of extremes to make sure your white ass is not the minority. So which is it? Is it bad to be a minority in America, or is it good to be a minority? Because the way some of these white folks are behaving, these lawmakers, and making these ridiculous moves and policies is so handmaid's tale that you're showing your entire ass that you don't want to be the minority because you know how fucked up you treat minorities in this country. And I reclaim my time. That's that.
This has been a doozy.
We have a great show. We're good at this. I said it with all the humility in the world.
Yes, we are. I love you so much, Claudia.
I love you back. I love you.
Oh my gosh. And informers, y'all have been showing up and showing out. We have so much coming up for y'all. So make sure that you have liked, subscribe, because that's very important on the podcast end. Make sure we need reviews. We need people to like heart us, do all the things, give us a lot of love. Sorry.
And tell a friend.
Tell a friend, and also follow us on all the platforms because we just started our TikTok. We need followers on our TikTok. Okay. We also have Instagram. So make sure you're checking in because we're also cutting clips each day and we have content that goes up each day. So we have so much information for you to keep you.
Really quick. One of our most loyal supporters, Anthony Buchanan, will be graduating this Friday. Anthony is autistic and is amazing, supports everything we do. He's had an interview with Erica that will be coming out. And we wanted to say thank you for being one of our day ones. And you are amazing. Also, Los Lounge podcast always makes great edits of our show. We love you. And we have fantastic supporters. We appreciate you all. Hey, y'all, make sure you subscribe and also follow Armon Wiggins. Thank you once again for doing our show today. We appreciate you. Follow Erica Cobb on her social media and my social media as well, Claudia Jordan. And blow our show up.
Yes. Yes.
All right, y'all. I'm going to be on an island for Memorial Day weekend. Erica, you are welcome to join me. Come to St. Martin if you'd like and pull up. I just booked it today. Come through.
I just might, but your favorite, Anthony, my husband, I just made him your favorite. He's trying to have a Memorial Day party. I'm like, do we have time to have a party?
Okay. If not, we're going to go to Jamaica next month in June. And then in July, we're going to go to Negril. So you're invited.
Don't threaten me with a good time because I'll show up.
You know how we do. All right. This has been Accidentally Informed, where
we can't guarantee you'll learn something, but I believe you did.
That's right. Free Wendy, y'all.
Yes, free Wendy.
We'll see you next time. Bye.
Put it on, girl. Let me see it. Put it on, girl. Let me see it.